We here at RSports are Virtual Major League Baseball. Our product provides an advanced and authentic experience in the hybrid category of fantasy and virtual sports. By owning and operating an RSports franchise, you compete for championships and money in leagues that mirror the MLB in every way. For sports fans who have dreamed of owning a sports franchise and handing out business cards that say Team Owner, RSports is making that dream a reality. Find them on Twitter at RSports Baseball and on Facebook as RSports Baseball. You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on NGSCsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
Of course, you know what I have playing on the big screen tonight.
Of course.
I'm going to tell you, Eric Dyer, that was a hell of a through ball.
Yes.
That he played to, that was a hell of a through ball that he just played the most solid. God, he split his own defense. That was gorgeous.
Oh, man. The salt. The salt is so strong.
Oh, my gosh.
It's literally all you have.
You shut your dirty damn mouth.
To be fair, it's not even you. It's like other people, and it's hilarious. I'm reveling in it. It's great.
But I mean, the thing is, like, I've heard so many different people see it both ways. Mm-hmm. I mean, see everything happen. I mean, and I'm talking Liverpool people. Mm-hmm. Who are like, neither one was a penalty, both were penalties. One was a penalty, one wasn't a penalty. They can't agree. And then today, Men in Blazers couldn't agree. Yeah. Roger Bennett is sitting there saying, yeah, Liverpool got screwed. And it's like, wait a minute, this guy hates Liverpool. He's like, yeah, they got screwed. Alejandro Moreno, like the biggest Liverpool hater on ESPN. Yeah, that was a dive. I mean, it's crazy, man. And then, like, Stevie Nickel, Mr. Liverpool, Liverpool deserved what they got. Both of those, Liverpool should have lost. It's like, Jesus Christ, dude, you're like Mr. Liverpool. Oh,
my God. The world is
so
bad.
I mean, everybody has an opinion, and literally, you can't just look at someone and say, oh, this will be what they think. Literally, until you hear them say it, you don't know what they're thinking about it.
It's so weird.
I mean, I've never seen a more polarizing set of calls, maybe ever. Where, because usually, it will be, the Liverpool people are furious about it. The Spurs people are, oh, well, absolutely. This is people going, they were offsides for both. Mm-hmm. Didn't dive. Van Dijk fouled him. I mean, it's crazy, man. I've never seen a set of calls just where it's like shooting a shotgun. The spread is just everywhere.
The weirdest part about it for me has been the call I was most sure about live is now the call I'm least sure about. And the two goals, I was like, no, they got them wrong. I'm now like, no, they got them exactly right. Like, I did a complete 180 in the course of like 12 hours. Like, I thought the Kane the Kane penalty that he drew was an absolute penalty, and but I also thought he was offsides, and I thought Lamella's was not a penalty. 12 hours later, I now think Lamella's was actually a penalty. Because I think he did. I think he was just theatric about it, but I think he did get kicked in the leg. And then seeing that Lovren actually plays Kane onside by almost completely whiffing the clearance.
Yeah.
And
I think you and I have actually flipped where we were walking out of the pub on Sunday.
Yeah.
because I'm now of the opinion that, okay, the Kane one, while I do think he dove, he got played onside.
Mm-hmm.
And that said, here's my deal. I think he dove, but still deserved the penalty.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because the way Karius went in, Karius took away where he was trying to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I have no problem with that going to a penalty now. Mine with the other, you know what? Yeah, Van Dijk kicked the shit out of him. He was offside.
It's not that I don't believe you. I've yet to see an angle that actually shows him. No, and it's not even that shows that he's not offside. I haven't seen an angle of the play yet where it's like I can say yes he was or no he has. I haven't seen. I haven't like the replays I keep seeing. I don't see Lamella's position until he gets fouled. So I'm like, I don't know.
Okay, so you're just not seeing it early enough. Yeah, when that ball initially goes in, Lamella's offside. Before it touches anybody else, Lamella's offside.
Okay.
And so that's my thing on it. It's like I'm now, and I'm switched because what I said to you the other day, walking out of there, I was like, the Kane one was bullshit. Lamella got fouled.
Mm-hmm.
And now I still believe Lamella got fouled, but Lamella was offside. So. And until I finally saw that ball play off Lovren, I thought they were both offside.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Lovren inadvertently.
Yes.
And I don't hold it against Lovren at all.
No.
I mean, I thought, personally, looking back at this is the third time I've watched the game now.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Lovren, for a guy who had all that trouble at Wembley, I thought Lovren came out and played with some of the largest set of nuts I've seen in a long time because he showed. I mean, you would have never known that he had ever had an issue against Spurs.
Sure. Yeah,
and I'm going to tell you this. I think Liverpool defensively, I think they played Kane and Ali as good as anyone could ever hope to play Kane and Ali.
Why don't we start the podcast and we can talk more about this?
Oh, you mean we haven't started? Okay.
Because I have thoughts about this, too.
There's so many things to go on. Okay, let's go.
Welcome to the Foreign Affair Podcast, episode 196. We're going to do this preamble super fast because we just want to keep talking about this game.
Guess what we're going to talk about today, folks?
Who knows? We're obviously going to talk Chelsea-Watford. We're also going to talk about our great sponsors on the Foreign Affair Podcast, presented by, of course, myself, Edward Green, and Macaulay Crime West Bradshaw. We're presented by NGSC Sports at NGSCSports.com. We never stop. As well as RSports Baseball. Fantasy baseball just got real. Don't just play fantasy sports. Own a team, gain equity, and you too can have your team screwed by John Moss. Did you know he was the one that gave... I can't even do it. I'm done. I can't do this joke anymore.
I like that. No, not even that, Chuck. Just to get on the equity and then have you screwed by John Moss. So basically, John Henry's played this game. So.
Yeah, basically. And he owns the baseball team, so it makes perfect sense. So we're going to dive right into it. We're going to do it kind of backwards, how we usually do it, where we go over all the games, and then we talk about one in depth.
Yeah, we're already into this.
We're going to talk about one in depth for a while, and then we're going to give you the rest of the games. So if you haven't heard...
Without further ado, we're talking about the real Super Bowl.
Yeah, this was much better than the Super Bowl. Liverpool 2, Tottenham 2 in the Foreign Affair Podcast Derby, the Anfield edition for the 2017-18 season. We talked about this a little bit. Despite, or maybe because of all the controversy, Game of the Year? Like right off the bat.
Maybe emotion of the year. That was, I mean, it was, my only deal calling Game of the Year was I thought it was really one-sided at times to both teams.
Yes.
We've talked about before where, we've seen Tottenham, Liverpool in the past. We've seen games like Liverpool, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, some Tottenham, Arsenal matches where it's up and down, back and forth the entire time. And it's like one team salvos, the other team salvos, and it's just who can survive. That wasn't this. First half, Liverpool were far and away the better team in the first half.
You're exactly
and
right.
I will use my tried and trusted axiom that Liverpool probably should have had 2 or 3 goals at halftime. But they had one. It came early. I'm looking at one right here. We should have had number 2, 10 minutes in. But then, Poch went in and gave a hell of a halftime speech.
Must have.
And Tottenham came out. and were absolutely rampant in the second half. The only thing that kept them from putting 4 or 5 goals past Liverpool was, hold your hats, a staunch Liverpool resistance.
Mm-hmm. And
with part of it anchored by the Berlin Wall.
There it is.
Loris Karius.
He's been waiting 3 days for this, folks.
I have. I was screaming it in the bar. He's the Berlin Wall, even though he's not from Berlin. And unfortunately, at the end of the match, much like the Berlin Wall, it came down.
Yeah.
But Loris Karius played the game of his life and was maybe really, really unfortunate, not to walk out the winner on the day. But that was it. It was a match of 2 halves, and then it was 10 minutes of just complete insanity.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
To end the match.
To start with, of course, the 3rd minute, as Liverpool has done a couple times to Tottenham in the past year, including, I believe, last year's match at Anfield, when Sadio Mane had a couple quick early goals. Mo Salah gets things started off very fast, thanks to a very unfortunate Eric Dyer back pass. Salah gets on it. Davinson Sanchez not able to get on top of him. He slots it past Hugo Lloris. 1-0. Anfield is uproarious.
And of course, you call it an Eric back pass. I call it one of the finest.
Of course you do. Remember, you're not offside if a defensive player plays you there. Of course, Liverpool had other chances. You mentioned one. I don't know if this is the one you mentioned, but James Milner almost had a chance to make it 2-0. With what was a Davinson Sanchez deflection, actually ended up keeping it out, it looks like. But as you said, Liverpool very rampant in the first half. Great job. Really could have been up multiple goals. And yet, and
I'm going to say real quick, something on Davinson Sanchez. Sanchez, we already mentioned it earlier, the torrid match at Wembley that Dejan Lovren suffered from. Davinson Sanchez had the potential to have the exact same thing happen to him in the first half of this game. Great job by him to keep his head and play much better in the second half.
Especially for such a young kid. And this is first trip to Anfield, and he did a great job of rebounding from that. But as you said, second half, Tottenham totally turns the game around, has chance after chance after chance. Karius has to come up with big save after big save. Son was through a couple times where it looked like he was one-on-one with the keeper. Kane, I believe, had a header or two that he had chances on. And then Pochettino decides to roll the dice, and every one of his substitutes, for maybe the first time ever, actually turns up gold. Victor Wanyama, within 1 minute of being on the pitch, puts his laces through, and I believe if there had been no net, somebody in the cop end at Anfield would have died in this match, because he sent...
Either that or if that ball had been a foot higher, somebody would have died.
That's true, because he put a howitzer in the back of the net to make it 1-1 at the 80th minute, and it was game on from there. Spurs kept on the pressure. You thought they might get 2. Then Harry Kane gets played through into the box. Karius, maybe a little clumsy on his challenge. Just unfortunate maybe with his positioning. Nicks Kane a little bit. Kane goes down. Maybe drug the foot to get that contact. Goes down in the box. John Moss awards the penalty after conferring with his linesman. Kane steps up to take it. And as Kane has done in the past, and apparently as somebody relayed to Karius, Kane goes straight down the middle. Karius saves it. Still 1-1. All to play for. Liverpool runs down the other end. Gets it to Mo Salah. And as what may be the most outstanding player so far this season did, takes it through 3 Tottenham defenders and puts it past Hugo Lloris to send Anfield into adulation. It's 2-1. They think they were about to get robbed at home. They end up with what seems like the victory. And just 3 minutes later, Tottenham with one last attack. Trippier into the box. Fernando Llorente heads it up. He was a substitute who just came on after the Salah goal. It comes down to another substitute, Eric Lamela. Van Dijk, unfortunately, in an effort to go after the ball, ends up kicking, and I don't think he saw Lamela until it was too late, ends up kicking Lamela in the back of the leg. Lamela goes down. John Moss then, after conferring with his side judge, who actually gives the penalty, They end up giving the penalty. Kane again to the spot, buries the second one. 2-2 is the final. And, I mean, Wes, that's easily, I think, it's up there with the Everton-Bournemouth game, I think, from a year or so ago, when there was like 7 minutes of stoppage time, and Everton thought they had won it, and then Bournemouth came back 30 seconds later on the last kick and draws back level. Like, this was insane.
And of course, one difference in that, this game meant something.
That's true. That's very true.
We're not talking about low table teams. We're talking about two teams battling for a Champions League spot, where it looks like to make the top four, every point is going to matter by the end of the season. Everything you do is going to mean something. And for the way this happened, it was stunning. Starting with Wanyama's shot. You know, a lot of people are suddenly want to give Loris Carey a shit because, he punched it. He should have come out and caught that.
Whatever.
Well, you know what? If he comes out, tries to catch it, and doesn't get it clean, and it falls, and somebody scores, they're screaming at Carey because he doesn't punch it.
Kane is literally right behind him. If he doesn't touch it, Kane gets a tap in. So
exactly. So, that's just. There are some people. A Liverpool goalkeeper, at the end of the day, can do absolutely nothing right unless he keeps a clean sheet.
Yeah.
And then they still want to tear him down. For me, Karius, I thought he did the right thing. He punched it out. As you said, it was a wonder strike from Wanyama. Now, let's get it straight. This is Victor Wanyama.
Yeah.
Ed, do you usually expect Victor Wanyama to be your offensive catalyst?
I don't. I really don't.
I do believe that was actually his first Premier League goal of the year.
Yes, of this year, yes.
So, I mean, it's not like he punched it right to Harry Kane, who did Harry Kane and finished. Wanyama hit an absolute missile. Ali Moreno said 9 times out of 10 he doesn't hit that. I disagree. 99 times out of 100 he doesn't score
Much
that.
smaller ratio.
That was a greatest goal of your life kind of goal.
Yeah.
And Wanyama now has it to show his grandchildren one day. Like we said, if it was a half a foot higher, it's hitting the bar and it's flying away somewhere. If it's half a foot lower, I think Karius might have had a chance to get to it. If it was a foot higher, somebody's going to the hospital. I mean, it was so perfect. It was, you and I, we both come from baseball backgrounds. And of course, I played some football. In baseball, when you get that perfect pitch and you hit a ball and you don't even feel it come off the bat, you just watch it fly. It's one of those. It's when you hit somebody on a football field and you hit somebody so hard you don't feel a thing, but you just watch them crumble in front of you. It's that. It doesn't happen very often at all. And when it does, it's amazing. It's a joy to watch. You looked at me in the pub. All I could do was sit there with my mouth gaping open. What the hell just happened?
Stunned reactions.
So, okay, so there's a world. Put that on Karius and all. I don't think you can put it on anyone from Liverpool. They were doing what they tried to do. They were just trying to clear the ball, and it happened to fall. And I believe it was about a took and just superb. I would say you won't see a better goal this year. But then 3 minutes later, it happened.
Yeah.
We'll move on. Let's move on to the Salah goal now, and then we'll get into the decisions. Salah comes down, and then I'm not trying to get hyperbole going, or I'm not trying to overblow it a little bit. What Mohamed Salah can do in the close quarters, people want to compare everyone to Messi. Personally, I don't think Messi can do exactly what Mo Salah can do in those tight quarters. That said, I don't think Salah can do a lot of the things that Messi can do, so don't get it wrong here. I mean, I'm not hating on Messi, but there are people who do some things better than Messi. That close contact, I heard more than one person this week, once again, multiple different outlets, compare his close control to Maradona. Messi, what makes Messi so special is in a full sprint, Messi can fully control a ball anywhere he wants to go. Inside that little small box that Salah was in, where he was boxed in by 3 defenders, and he just kept stepping and feinting over, slightly moving the ball, and then just finding that little slot to find a goal. It was one of the best goals I've ever seen. And, for Mohamed Salah, I mean, this is a guy who, he started on a scoring run and now is up to 28 goals this season. I mean, I didn't think I would ever see another scorer like Luis Suarez at Liverpool.
Yeah.
And it's February.
Yeah.
And this guy, I mean, someday the goals may dry up, but right now there's no evidence whatsoever that the goals are going to dry up for this guy. And the thing is, he scored them against everybody. I saw a great stat today. It showed goals scored against the top 6 this season by other top 6 teams. Let me see if I remember it. City had the most. I think Liverpool had the second most. Then maybe it was Tottenham. Then I believe it was United. And then it was Salah. Then it was Chelsea. Then it was Arsenal. But Salah has 7 goals against the top 6 this year.
Wow.
And then, I mean, he's scoring everywhere. He's scoring in the Champions League. He's scoring in the league. He's scoring against the big teams, the small teams. I mean, the guy has been to keep bringing up the fact that he costs less than £40 million is just sickening at this point.
Yeah.
For the return that you're getting for him, he's been magnificent, and that looked like it was going to be the winner. It looked like it was going to be a famous winner, and now because of what transpired a couple minutes later, we're still talking about it, but it's kind of on the back burner. And that's when we get into the penalty calls. We talked about it a little bit already. I thought on the first one initially, I thought Kane was offside and that he dove. Now I just think that he dove. Now, yes, there was some contact, but I also believe that Harry Kane initiated the contact. But however you want to say that, I also think now looking at Karius cut off where he was trying to go, where he was naturally able to go, which is a penalty. Lovren inadvertently played him onside.
Right.
I mean, now there are people arguing that, that Lovren, yes, he touched the ball, but with Kane already being offside, he shouldn't have been able to play the ball there. Oh my God. The NFL can't figure out what a catch is.
We have much fewer worries in here.
Yeah, we have much fewer worries here. I mean, offsides, it can be a sticky situation, but it's what it is. So, for Kane to get that, and, I love, because you're sitting there, every Spurs fan's going crazy. Oh, this is 100. He's got this. And you're sitting there, shut up. Let it happen. Let it happen. Don't say it. And then just for that little delay while John Moss was talking to the line judge, and I don't think it psyched out Harry Kane, but kind of like you said, I think somebody looked at Loris Karius or got to Loris Karius and said, hey, he likes to go down the middle.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Just stay home. And Karius stayed home, and it wasn't a particularly hard hit ball by Kane. I mean, it was solid. But, I mean, if it had been hit harder, Karius would have stopped it. If it had been hit softer, Karius would have stopped it. Karius just read it. And then for Liverpool to go down and score the goal, everybody's going crazy. It seems great. And then to see what transpired at the other end, it was just like, it was the ultimate kick in the gut.
Yeah.
Lamela... Lamela, I think Eric Lamela realized he had no chance of actually getting to that ball.
Sure, I would agree with that.
But he also realized, hey, I can get in the way here and I can get kicked. And then to top it off, Lamela gave a performance that the Oscars would have been proud of. Would have had people openly weeping in in their seats. And that's not just me saying it. Eric Lamela is a well-known for his theatrics.
Let's also give him a lot of credit. He acted at least realistically. He did not pull the Diego Costa, oh, you hit me in the right side of my face, I'm going to touch my left arm. At least he acted like he got hit in the right part of the body.
And that's why it was such an Oscar-worthy performance, because he at least went to the right body part.
Yes.
So we are going to give him that. But, yeah, I think the theatrics helped. But John Moss did not give a penalty.
No, it was a side
John
judge.
Moss waved on play.
Mhm.
And, at that point, I think when we were in the pub, the Liverpool fans were going crazy because, oh, my gosh, we cleared the ball. Oh, my gosh. Spurs fans are screaming, and they played about 5 seconds, and then all of a sudden it stopped. And I think I looked at you and said, "What the fuck are they stopping for?"
I had no idea.
And then the next thing you know, they go back and they're showing the Lamella. It's like, wait a damn minute, no, he waved that on. But the line judge decided this time it was his call to make. There is a view out there that was not seen on American television that came from the line, and you can see where there was definite contact, and there was hard contact from Van Dijk. Now, once again, in my estimation, after rewatching it as well, Lamella's offside. So foul, no foul, should have been offside. I'm not gonna go to my grave on that call about that. When you look back at it in slow motion, you can see. Well, you can definitely see it's not intentional. And why is it not intentional? Van Dijk didn't even know he was there.
Yeah.
Lamella saw an opening, took a duck right inside, took the kick, because Van Dijk was already in the act of kicking out of the ball when Lamella basically slid right in front of him. And then you can actually see Van Dijk pull back a lot, but still definitely got a chunk of him and took a chunk out of Lamella. As we said, Lamella did a Dog Day Afternoon Al Pacino impersonation. He got it good, but at the end of the day, then Kane steps up, and all credit to Harry Kane because a lot of guys would have looked and said, "Hey, somebody else take this penalty." My last one just got saved. I don't want it again. Hey, Sonny, you take this, or Erickson, you take this. Give it to Harry Kane. He stepped right up, took the ball, said, "Hey, it's on me. This is mine." He went up, calmly slotted it home. And it was pretty much the last kick of the match. I mean, Liverpool kicked off and they blew the whistle.
Yep.
So couldn't have been any closer, couldn't have been any tighter, couldn't have been any more breathtaking and narrative filled. And at the end of the day, they both get 1 point.
Yeah. I mean,
it's almost a crappy return for both of them. Like,
yeah.
All that, and we get 1 fucking point. You should give us both 2 points just for the entertainment.
There you go. You're welcome, America.
Yeah.
I have a couple thoughts. I also feel like, the way this game ended, since we've been talking about John Henry and the Red Sox, and something that we are known for our bitterness. We made an entire video intro about a Red Sox World Series loss, which ended because of runners' interference. No, I'm sorry.
I actually watched that about 3 months ago, just randomly. with Major League Vampire. Well, thank you, one-name producer.
Did you know Jim Joyce was the guy who messed up that call at first base to screw up a perfect game? Did you know that?
Oh, how well I do.
Oh, this joke's not going to die.
Never.
So I do know that. I also want to talk
much like the vampire Jim Joyce.
Exactly. I also want to talk about, we talked a lot about how well Spurs came out in the second half. And they did come out very strongly. Liverpool did put up a very good resistance. I wonder, though, and there was something I noticed in that second half, very different from most Liverpool games. And I want to give a little credit to Tottenham, but I also want to question Liverpool a little bit. It seemed like their idea was, we're going to sit back, absorb pressure, and hit them on the counterattack. The problem in my mind was, when they did want to counter, it was like Salah and Firmino, and that was it. But for Tottenham, there'd be 4 or 5 guys back. I feel like in my head I remember there was maybe 1 2-on-2 break Liverpool had, and the rest were where Spurs had an advantage. And so I guess I wonder if maybe it was a Klopp decision, maybe it's just how the game turned out. I have to wonder, did Liverpool basically say, we like our 1-0 lead, if we can get maybe a weird break, a goal on the counter break, maybe we'll take that. But otherwise, we think we can hold on to this 1-0 lead. And I don't know Like, I know they played very well defensively. I don't know going into that game, I would want to say, yeah, this Liverpool defense is going to hold out against Tottenham for an entire 45 minutes. I would love to hear your thoughts, but that's been something I've been thinking a lot about. Until that last 10 minutes, and especially the last 5 after Kane almost, quote-unquote, won it with his missed penalty, that they sort of switched on again, they were very, very reserved in offense. And I wonder if maybe they would have been better served of still playing somewhat aggressively. I know Spurs were getting in a lot, but maybe put a few more numbers forward when you actually do have possession, because they did not have much possession at all in the second half.
No, and what I think you really saw in the second half was I credited almost more to Spurs.
Okay.
I think that Liverpool had to make an adjustment in the second half that, oh God, we can't keep sending guys forward here because they're going to kill us at the back if we do.
Mm-hmm.
I think Spurs pushed their line so high in the second half. One thing that you always have to kind of have in the back of your head for Liverpool is, of course, Klopp is known for the gegenpress, the heavy metal football. How long can you push it sometimes?
Especially against a team that can run against you.
Exactly.
Right.
It's one thing. And also another thing is, when that gegenpress is super effective? When you're up 3 goals.
Yeah, true.
When you've completely demoralized the other team, like Manchester City, like they did to Arsenal earlier in the year, like they've done over the past few years to people. They've done it to Spurs. Mm-hmm. You've seen it when they get a couple of goals up. Man, that press gets really, really tight, because then you're having to rush everything and you're down and you're trying to make something happen. Spurs, while I think upping their tempo, Spurs actually became more patient in the second half. Mm-hmm. And it forced Liverpool back, because Liverpool had to get back to defend because Spurs were showing a lot of initiative. Jordan Henderson had a fantastic game for Liverpool. And that's become an unpopular thing to say, but, really against Huddersfield and here against Spurs, he was really, really good. Mm-hmm. Henderson, I think they had a cap on him coming out because he is just coming back from injury, and they're trying to keep him healthy. When Henderson came out, Liverpool lost a lot of their bite.
Yeah.
Oxlade-Chamberlain, who has been really good, did not come in and make any difference. Wijnaldum did not come in and make any difference.
Well, I think Oxlade-Chamberlain has to be in a game where he is getting forward a lot, because he's not going to give you that much defensively, and so I think a lot of him was actually wasted a lot. And and I don't think that's his fault. I just think he wasn't suited for the kind of game they wanted to play at 1-0.
Yeah. I think Oxlade-Chamberlain is one of those. He's solid when he can defend from the front.
Sure.
When you're defending in the other team's half,
right?
Kind of like Liverpool were doing the first half. I think that's where Oxlade-Chamberlain defending is at his best. Mm-hmm. But when he came in, they were sitting deep. They were just trying to spring a counter. And, to me, Spurs looked the fresher of the two teams in the second half. And this happened before. It's almost like Liverpool put so much into that first half that near that 70, 75-minute mark, they were huffing. Mm-hmm. And they weren't totally out of gas by any means, but they weren't the same that they had been earlier. And once again, I give all the credit in the world to Tottenham. I don't think Liverpool, quote, fell apart or
I don't think that. No.
Tired. I don't think they got tired or anything. I just think Spurs were able to keep that push going. They were able to keep. They started winning the ball in the midfield second half. First half, the midfield, Liverpool dominated them. Mm-hmm. I'm watching it right now. They are eating Spurs for lunch in the midfield. Second half, that totally changed. Spurs did the job. Spurs were able to keep recycling possession back forward. Mm-hmm. Now, one of our favorite things that we were doing during the match was how many passes to the keeper can you do. That goal for both sides, but especially your Spurs side. Yes. It was driving you insane.
We love it.
But when in the second half, when Hugo Lloris was getting that ball, he was quickly recycling that ball back forward instead of sideways.
Certainly.
In the first half, he's recycling sideways, just trying to beat this Liverpool press. In the second half, they were getting the ball in quickly. He wasn't having to beat the press. He was just getting it right back into midfield. and that had that kind of stymied the gegenpress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So and we've talked about it. Everybody's like, oh well, and there are literally a small handful of teams in the world that can do it.
Yeah.
And Spurs and Liverpool, I think Spurs and Liverpool match up each other so well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so well. Liverpool for a long time have had the advantage of this series, and I think it's always just been that Liverpool, they've had a little more experience. They've just had some heads that were a little better in the game. The maturation of Spurs. Now, the problem for Spurs is this kind of goes week to week.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't know what the hell you're going to get from them.
Mm-hmm.
But this was a game when at halftime Spurs totally turned it on. And in the second half, they were turned on and they were turned up. And that, to me, is that's how good Spurs can be when they're on their game and they're pushing.
Well, and it's not even that they did that. They did that on the road in a place where they haven't had success in recent memory. So for them to do
now
that,
8 years since they won at Anfield.
Yes, but to go in and at least get a draw from that's fantastic for them, I think.
And real quick, we had brought it up beforehand.
Sure.
Also for Spurs, I made mention. I thought Liverpool defensively played Kane and Ali as good as anyone.
Yes.
Harry Kane did not touch the ball very often in this match.
No, not at all.
I'm watching the first half here. I haven't seen him touch the ball literally a handful of times, and none of them in a real scoring position.
Mm-hmm.
Ali got the yellow card for the dive.
Mm-hmm.
Now that, oh my God. Anything I say about the Harry Kane dive, the Dele Alli dive was embarrassing for everyone involved. I mean, that was beyond bad.
It's not as embarrassing as what would happen the next day for him, but whatever.
Oh, no. But yeah, we won't even go there because that's a different show. That way,
we love you, Dally. We're not going to do that to you.
No, but that is one thing with Dele Alli, and this is something else that's come up. Dele Alli, I believe that's his third yellow card for simulation this year.
Sounds about right, yeah.
He's got this. He's got a history now of being a diver,
mm-hmm.
where Kane doesn't have the history. People say Kane dives, but he doesn't have a long history of being disciplined for it. Yeah. Dele Alli is getting that, and apparently to Mauricio Pochettino, that's great.
Yeah, interesting comments from Poch.
That said, we also forget he's Argentinian.
Yeah.
Any Englishman worth his salt will tell you just how much the Argentinians love to dive.
Or hand palm the ball into goal. It's fine.
Yes, it's called the 1998 World Cup.
Yeah.
But some interesting quotes, and that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on going forward because now it's out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in people's consciousness now that Pochettino's like, oh, we're going to dive because that's part of the game. And it's like, now you're in England and you've got this big crackdown on diving.
Mm.
And now a manager's come out and said, well, sure, I've got no problem my guys diving. So I wonder if that's going to affect Spurs going forward because now you're going to have that in officials' heads that, well, hey, this guy tells his guys to dive. We're not going to do that.
Well, and the interesting thing is, and this will kind of help us transition to the rest of the game, what Gerard Deulofeu did against
mm-hmm.
Chelsea on Monday, yeah, was not altogether different from what Harry Kane did, or it was the same style of play. So there does seem to be some consistency in how this is being called. This is not we can say that Harry Kane right now is the poster boy of the week for maybe what this issue is. This is not a Harry Kane issue, and I don't love that Mauricio Pochettino would say something like this. I don't believe it's in the spirit of the game. But if this is how the Premier League's going to call it, that's maybe something for them to look at in a rules change, and might be they have to take a look at that because that seems to be more where that is. It is getting called pretty uniformly across the league. So I don't think this is a Spurs problem. People want to make it a Spurs problem because of how dramatic the game was.
Mm-hmm.
and obviously the comments afterwards, I don't think this is a Spurs problem. I think this is a Premier League and maybe to a lesser extent a soccer problem in general. I mean, we could look at La Liga and I mean, what did we say in our song about Philippe Coutinho? You take a running leap and you learn to dive. So I mean, this is an issue, and the cards for simulation will hopefully start to help, but obviously I think a little more work needs to be done. Also, as we finish here, I know I've said that like 8 times now. I'm going to send you a video because I saw that Virgil van Dijk had some words about Harry Kane. And
oh yes,
and I find it very ironic that Virgil van Dijk would say something like that when Harry Kane basically this was 2015, I believe December of 2015, in a game against Southampton, when 2 Spurs players get basically football tackled in the middle of the pitch. Harry Kane ends up getting the ball, almost gets brought down by 2 more South players. Van Dijk, as the last line defense, basically winds up and tries to kick Harry Kane as hard as he can. Kane kind of stumbles, keeps footing, has a one-on-one against Fraser Forster, and buries it. So I don't know if he's still just a little salt about that.
Was that the first year that he was a one-hit?
No, this was the second year he was one-hit wonder.
Oh, okay. It was year 2 being a one-year wonder.
Yes.
I forget sometimes.
I'm sending you the YouTube link to the video right now because I can tell because of the jerseys they were. It was that nice blue AIA jersey. So we are going to now move on. Good days ahead. Let's start on Saturday. Recap. Manchester City with another draw. Oh no, they're falling apart. Danilo, of all people, with the goal in a 1-1 draw against Burnley. It was enough until the 82nd minute when Johan Gudmundsson brought Turf Moor level with the goal in the 82nd minute to get Burnley a well-earned draw against the champions in waiting. Elsewhere, it was Leicester City 1, Swansea 1. Jamie Vardy had his party in the 17th minute, but it wasn't enough to get full 3 points against the Swans, who are now, I believe, real quick, I'm going to take a look. Yes, they are out of the relegation zone. Yep. Woo! Party! Bob Bradley died for this.
Remember 6 weeks ago when they had no chance?
It's weird league, man. Elsewhere, Manchester United beats Huddersfield 2-0. Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez with goals there. Sanchez opening his account for United. West Brom.
A bullshit penalty.
Yeah.
That actually got blocked, and then he had to put the...
Yeah, so, hey, bullshit penalties. Weird, huh? West Brom 2, Southampton 3, a back-and-forth affair. Saw Southampton score 3 unanswered goals in a
You can do it, Ed. You can use your words.
Wow, that's really hard to say. Saw Southampton. 3 unanswered goals in a 15-minute span between the 2 halves to get them the win at the Hawthorns. Brighton and Hove beats West Ham 3-1. Big win for them. Bournemouth with a big 2-1 win against Stoke. Xherdan Shaqiri with the goal just 5 minutes in. But Josh King as well as Lys Mousset combined for goals in the 70 and 79th minute to get Bournemouth the win there, up the cherries. And then Arsenal laid their entire arsenal against Everton. Whew, this is back to the pre-Big Sam Everton. 5-1 is the final. Aaron Ramsey may have just killed every star in Hollywood by getting his first career Premier League hat trick.
Still waiting for you, Kardashians.
We can
Come on, everybody together in one place.
Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang with his first goal for Arsenal. That was really offsides. If we're gonna play that offsides card. See, there was other bad calls, people. There's other shit you can get mad at. There's things out there. On Sunday, Crystal Palace drew Newcastle 1-1, and we can talk about this a little bit just for the fallout that hasn't happened yet. Watford 4, Chelsea 1. Troy Deeney with that, as we mentioned, the Gerard Deulofeu penalty. Troy Deeney, Fat Drake, he takes in the 42nd minute and puts Watford up 1-0. Chelsea had also gone down to 10 men before then because Timeo Bakayoko basically lost his mind in the span of 5 minutes and picked up 2 yellow cards in the first half hour and got sent off. And that's good job by him. Chelsea do get a goal back, but from Eden Hazard in the 82nd minute, and you think, well, Chelsea's just good enough. They're going to get a point on the road down a man. And then Watford punches back with 3 goals in the next 7 minutes to bury Chelsea into a grave. 4-1 is the final. Deulofeu also had a goal in there. And I mean, Wes, I texted you, I didn't think Conte was going to make it back to London. Rebecca Lowe's saying in her Instagram stories, Conte out. Like, I'm actually kind of surprised he's still the manager.
And, I almost wonder if maybe it just has something. Yeah. The thing is, Chelsea are like the ultimate wild card when it comes to this managerial shit.
Mm-hmm.
Because Chelsea's shown they don't give a shit what you've done for them.
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea are 100% what have you done for me lately? Which, you know what I mean, with a club like Chelsea, that's kind of the mindset they need to have.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm a little surprised to see Conte still there. There has been some speculation that he'll be gone before the Champions League tie, just to hopefully give them a chance in that. Of course, they take on Barcelona.
Mm-hmm.
God, is that next week or the week after? Either way, it's coming up.
Well, and it's funny that you mentioned Barcelona because there have been reports that they've been talking to former Barcelona manager Luis Enrique and also bringing in Luis Suarez somehow.
Oh, fuck that, man.
So,
well, if Suarez does
yeah.
Success is Liverpool's last golden boy that went to Chelsea, that being Fernando Torres. But, that could be out there. Carlo Ancelotti's out there. He's managed Chelsea before.
And we like to recycle people there.
Yeah, they do. They'll go through a couple managers back to back. So there's a lot going on, but Chelsea are in this weird place right now where suddenly spending in the Premier League has exploded, which is something Chelsea's been doing for 10 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden Chelsea are the ones who have decided they're going to tighten up the purse strings.
Mm-hmm.
So Chelsea are kind of in this point where they're not in for the big guys. They're in for good players, but they're not in for these elite guys anymore. And that apparently has really pissed off Conte because, I think Conte took the job under the impression, like, money to spend, I'm going to be able to go get guys I want. And now suddenly when everybody else, especially the 2 Manchester clubs, are throwing all this money out there, and Chelsea and Arsenal's throwing this money out there, and, Liverpool are paying £75 million for Virgil van Dijk. Suddenly Conte's being told, no, you can't spend that kind of money. And I think that's where a lot of this is coming from. It's sheer craziness.
Yeah, he's been complaining a lot, in the media about, trying to get more guys in. It almost maybe felt like, and I've seen some people say this, like this lineup he sent out against Watford was a kind of tacit fuck you to Roman Abramovich for the lack of help he's perceived to have been given in the transfer windows. And that was another reason why I'm like, you put out that kind of lineup, have that kind of performance, and then you're still here. Like, I'm very surprised by it. I do agree with you.
Well,
maybe they do. Go ahead.
I'm of the opinion I think he's trying to get fired.
Yeah.
I think he's actively trying to get fired. He's going out there and basically saying, fuck you.
Yeah.
And like you said, I mean, it was kind of a bizarre put in against Watford. And, I mean, he's not, like, upset about it at all.
No.
Which, so this is almost between him and Abramovich right now. It's like, well, who's got the bigger dick? Who's running this shit? And Conte is still the one running this shit because he's the one putting the lineup out. And personally, right now, I hope it keeps up a while because obviously we want him to drop some points.
Yes.
We want Chelsea dropping. So I really think Chelsea need to make a switch as soon as possible. I think they're just trying to see who they can line up.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot see Conte surviving February.
This would be, I believe, at least, without me actually looking it up, the I think, the 5th straight Premier League manager to lose his job the year after winning the title. Because we have,
sounds about right.
It would be Conte. Last year it would have been
Mourinho. No, not Mourinho.
Ranieri.
No, last year was Ranieri. Year before was Mourinho.
Yeah.
Year before was Pellegrini.
Yep.
Who was he was replaced after the season after winning the title.
Mm-hmm.
And the year before would have been what did it have been? Who was it?
Would have been
Chelsea.
Either Chelsea or Alex Ferguson's last year.
No, it certainly wasn't Alex Ferguson's last year at that point, I don't believe. I can't remember, but yeah, it's God, it's almost like the best thing you can do is win the title. The best thing you can do is win the title.
Yeah.
And it's because I think the expectations just get so freaking huge, man. Now, that said, I can't really see Pep getting fired next year.
No.
Yeah, so I think Pep Guardiola may be the one to break that streak, but man, I'll tell you something. Of course, I sent you that little list the other day. The last 5 Chelsea managers to win the title have all been fired the next season.
Yeah. It's bizarre, man. It's cutthroat.
I love Klopp. I love Klopp so much. That's the thing, guys. Yeah, Liverpool, we know we want. Golly, do we want to go that route? Do we want to have to fire Klopp?
Is it worth it to win the league?
Oh, man. Yes, it is.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Love you, Kloppy. Love that title more.
Oh, well, we'll see if they can make progress on that as the weekend continues. Tottenham's crucible comes to an end this Saturday at 7:30 a.m.
Well, you say that, you turn around and play Juventus.
That's true. Their Premier League crucible comes to an end as they take on Arsenal in the North London Derby at Wembley Stadium this Saturday at 7:30. And I tell you what, if they can come out of this crucible united, Liverpool, and Arsenal with 7 of 9 points, I think that would be a damn fine performance at this point in the year. But we will see.
Also, could just about shut the door if Liverpool and Tottenham can win this weekend. Just about shut the door on Arsenal's top 4 hopes.
Yeah, absolutely. They would be quite a little bit back, as we'll see in the table in just a minute. Mm-hmm. Your 10 a.m. matches include Everton Palace, West Ham Watford, Stoke Brighton and Hove, Swansea and Burnley, and at 12:30 a match that would have been big 2 years ago, Manchester City versus Leicester City, the former Kings versus the soon-to-be Kings. On Sunday at 7 a.m. you get Huddersfield versus Bournemouth. Don't wake up for that. At 9:15 you get Newcastle versus Manchester United, and at 11:30 a.m. you get Southampton versus Liverpool, which Wes
will not be awake for.
Well, that's that, and I believe, if you want to just make a quick mention of it, I don't believe Adam Lallana will be able to play in that game.
Well, no, of course, it came down. He did not get any.
Really? Wow.
No discipline from the FA.
Okay.
At the senior team level, but that said, I don't know what Liverpool themselves may do disciplinary wise, but it would be nice to have a lot back in the side. But don't worry, there'll be plenty of former Southampton players traveling back down south for that one. Van Dijk has said that he's already, in our words, girding his loins.
Oh boy,
for the abuse that's going to come. I mean, Southampton fans are kind of like Philadelphia. You know, they'll boo the shit out of you no matter who. I mean, himself, Adam Lallana drug them up from like the 3rd division all the way to the Premier League. You know, left under pretty good circumstances, and they still boo the shit out of him every time he comes back. This guy used to be their captain. You know? Yeah. Van Dijk left under quite acrimonious circumstances very recently. Slightly. So that's not going to be a happy homecoming for Virgil, but. You know what? 3 points is the happiest homecoming you can get if you're Virgil van Dijk.
Well, there you go. We'll see if we can get on Sunday. And then on Monday Night Football, Chelsea, they go right back at it. Keep playing Monday Night Football. Chelsea at 3 p.m. will host West Brom. Will it be Antonio Conte's last stand at Stamford Bridge?
Can Alan Pardew put the knife in Antonio Conte?
You know, and I want to remember, I believe Pardew was in charge of Newcastle when they beat Mourinho in the year he did to hand Chelsea their first loss of the year.
I believe that's right. Yeah. So, and look, West Brom have been playing a little better.
A little bit. They're still in last place as we take a look at the table. Man City still on top. What else is new? They're 13 points up on United. United are in second. They're 5 points up on Liverpool. Liverpool currently 1 point up on Chelsea in fourth place. Tottenham are 1 point back of Chelsea, sitting there in fifth. And Arsenal are 4 points behind Tottenham, sitting there in sixth place. But you're right. If Tottenham wins against Arsenal, at best, Arsenal will be 5 points behind Chelsea. And if Chelsea pick up a draw or win, they will be then either 6 or worse behind those teams. And that, with, in my quick maths, 11 matches to go in the season, I don't want to say it's a death knell, but it's getting pretty close to one for Arsenal.
For Liverpool, if Liverpool, just remember, 5 points behind United, looming first weekend in March. Liverpool, Man United is coming, so that match is still out there.
That is huge. That will be.
That's gonna be wild early March.
That's either Man United almost clinching second place, or we have a 5-way race for second place in the Premier League.
Oh, yeah. We've got 5 teams for 3 spots. So.
It's going to be nuts. At the bottom of your heart, the relegation zone, it's still jam-packed down there. Swansea are currently the ones in 17th place, just outside. Stoke and Huddersfield, both level on points with Swansea, but just with the worst goal differential. They're 18th and 19th, and West Brom is in 20th, 4 points adrift of safety, but Newcastle is only 1 point clear of the drop. Southampton, 2 points clear of the drop. Crystal Palace, Brighton and Hove, and West Ham, 3 points clear of the drop. It's going to change week to week as we go here, folks. But with that, we're going to head into the FA Cup. Real quick, replays were had. Huddersfield destroyed Birmingham City 4-1, although they took them to added extra time to actually do it, and they scored 3 goals in the extra period, so that was great. Swansea beat Notts County 8-1.
8. Swansea 8.
Woo, that is rough. Yikes.
Tammy Abraham.
Rockdale beats Millwall 1-0 in Rockdale, and Tottenham.
And it's Rochdale.
Excuse me, like for Rochdale. And then Tottenham just earlier today beat Newport County 2-0. Goals from the always welcome own goal, as well as that man Coco Lamella with his first Premier League goal. The real OG.
The original gangster own goal.
So we do have our 5th round proper lineup coming next weekend. Ooh, more FA Cup action.
Good job, man. Have fun.
I'm so excited. Leicester takes on Sheffield United. Chelsea takes on Hull. Will Conte still be the manager? Who knows? Sheffield Wednesday hosts the Swans. West Brom gets Southampton. Brighton and Hove takes on Coventry. Huddersfield hosts Manchester United. Rockdale hosts Tottenham, and Wigan, as we mentioned, I believe last week, will host Manchester City. So there is one League 2 team left in the tournament. That is Coventry. And there's 2 League 1 teams left in Rochdale and Wigan. So we'll see if any of them can make the final 8. So that's going to do it. Let's head quickly into news and notes, Wes. And let's start with the story that literally broke like right before we were going to start potting last week, and is now still a story that even the Pro Football Association is getting into. The Pro Football Association is now urging Riyad Mahrez and Leicester to resolve the standoff, quote, as soon as possible. The Professional Football Association, they typically would obviously side with the players. They're like, no, you guys need to just work this out somehow, because this is really bad. Riyad Mahrez has been gone for now a full week from Leicester City. As far as we know, he doesn't plan on playing this weekend. To recap, he wanted to go to City, handed in a transfer request 2 days before the deadline. City made an offer. Leicester said, no, here's our offer that we'll accept. And City was like, nah, we're good. So Mahrez kind of left out in the cold. And one of the people, the PFA chief Gordon Taylor, made quotes saying, "If the issue needs us to help, then the offer has been made. Leicester are looking to be patient and understanding. We hope the player will appreciate the situation as it is at the moment. The sooner this is sorted out, the better for everyone." And Wes, I do feel like that line especially, "we hope the player will appreciate the situation as it is at the moment," is like as close as a pro players union person can say, "Dude, fucking go back to the team. I know you have issues, but this looks really bad. Stop it."
This is embarrassing.
Exactly. That's exactly what this is at this point.
Yeah. We talked last week. There are story, but at the end of the day, nothing is going to change the fact that at least until July, Ryan Mahrez is a Leicester City player.
Yeah.
So, at this point, you're just, if you're upset, I think you've made your point.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, nothing's going to change it.
No.
Now you are borderline as the player. You are borderline on the point of getting this complete label on you that you're unprofessional, that you cannot be counted on. And Mahrez is a top player, but Mahrez isn't that top of a player where I think one of these big clubs especially are just going to look at him and say, "Oh man, you know what? I don't care how big of an asshole he is. We've got to have him. He's going to win us the Premier League."
Well, and this isn't
he's that top. He's not Diego Costa.
No, and just real quick, let me interject as well. This isn't the first time he's been petulant about it wanting to transfer. The year after they won the title, I believe he wanted to go to Arsenal. That was, as we know, his lifelong dream to go to Arsenal until it was his lifelong dream to go to City.
It was his lifelong dream to go to Liverpool.
Exactly.
And his lifelong dream, of course, to go to Manchester United.
Of course. He has acted out like this, not to this extent of just completely leaving, but he has, and it affected his performance after the year they won the title. And so I think with this, if you're a big club, I think you start to say, well, and I think to your point that you're making, is he worth the headache? And for a guy like, as you said, Diego Costa, maybe he is. Riyad Mahrez, I don't know that I can make that argument.
But even Diego Costa, who directly scored the goals that won the Premier League twice, and is a top international player, even for him, it got old.
Yeah,
it got too much. It finally became too much for a club like Chelsea, and Chelsea basically said, "Whatever, we're cutting our losses. We're done with this guy. We're out of here."
And let's be real. Atletico was probably the only club in one of the top 5 leagues in Europe that would have taken him.
Right, and that's because he had such great history of that.
Sure.
He wanted to go back to Atletico, and Atletico are facing the prospect of losing Griezmann. And Atletico know what they're getting into by bringing back Costa. They know how he is. They know how to. That it's not going to be an issue for them. Mahrez is an unknown to everyone outside of Leicester. I mean, this is a guy who no one batted an eye when Leicester paid less than £1 million for Ryan Mahrez. I mean, he was nobody, and came in, made himself a name. But he doesn't pedigree of playing for other big clubs and just being one of those. Oh well, I mean, my God, right now it's almost easier to take a flyer on Mario Balotelli. Which, you know what, Mahrez, you're going to get into that kind of company if you keep this shit up. Do you want to be in Balotelli company? The answer to that is no. No one wants to be in Balotelli company. That's like, now that is like wilderness. I mean, this is a guy who is scoring goals and none of the big sides want him. For Mahrez, there's a hand to play. But you can't overplay that hand.
Yeah.
And I think if he literally sits out the entire second half of the season, someone desperate enough, like, Well, I would have said like an Arsenal, but you look at Arsenal right now. Where's he slotted into the team?
Yeah.
He doesn't. They made their big move. Especially if he's acting that way, Klopp isn't going to go after someone he thinks is going to be a locker cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I don't think he was ever Liverpool's targets this summer. City, if Guardiola gets a hair on his ass and just decides he really wants the player, I can understand it. But, United's not going to go for him. Tottenham's not going to go for him. I mean, he's kind of lost his leverage in a lot of places.
Yeah.
The best thing he can do is get back on the field, say what he's got to say. Say, I'm not over this, but I'm a professional and I'm going to play. And go out there and play, and you know what? Tear it up. Hey, you know what? If you don't want to celebrate with your fans, don't be an asshole, but go out and play and show people that you can play. Put yourself in that shop window where somebody's got to look at you and say, man, you know what? He's got some issues, but damn it, this kid can play. We've got to have this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get your move out.
It's going to be very tough for him to do that, though, I think. As we move to now some other stories, Swansea, just some injury news for them. A big double blow. Wilfred Bonnet and Leroy Fer are both now out for the season. They're both going to be taking surgery to some injuries they suffered in the draw against Leicester. Fer has a ruptured Achilles tendon, and Bonnet ruptured his ACL. So
that sucks. We just talked about a team that has fought their way out of the relegation.
Yeah.
Two pretty big pieces.
Yeah.
Now, that said, Bonnet, I don't think Bonnet's been – I think everyone expected him to come back and be their star, and he hasn't.
Mm-hmm. I
mean, he and Fer are not the superstars of this team, but when you're a team that doesn't have a lot of depth anyway, losing two guys who can start, that's not good.
Certainly. Real quick story. There was a little bit of irony. The West Ham story about Tony Henry, who was the director of player recruitment, who was asked to leave after making sensitive remarks about African-American players and not wanting to sign them. And now, basically a week later, West Ham signs Patrice Evra,
who has never had any sort of racial issues in his career.
So, interesting times at West Ham.
Hey, look, we got one. I told you we love these guys.
Oh,
I have a black friend.
That's exactly what this feels like. All right.
I have a black friend.
Last story. This is one you had sent me. This is one I'd also seen earlier in the week. The talks of a Premier League winter break are starting to, ironically, heat up a little bit. They would wordplay. They're looking at maybe taking a couple week break, as they do in places like Italy and France. Not like the 3 almost plus weeks Germany takes away, but they do look like they're going to take a couple weeks if this does get introduced. It would start around after the first or the first round for Premier League teams of the FA Cup, which is that first weekend in January. It would still keep like the super busy part of the season in the holiday fixture list. That wouldn't go away, the craziness that it exists there. You then probably either have to start the season a week earlier, or you're still also slotting more matches into midweek. Maybe you move the FA Cup just into the middle of the week. There's a lot of machinations that would have to go on.
And one thing they talked about was just changing the semifinals of the League Cup into instead of being a 2-leg into just a single leg playing game.
Also, eliminating replays from the FA Cup would be...
I think after the third round.
Yeah, which would be fantastic.
For all involved.
Yes. So, I mean, what do you think, Wes? Now, obviously, this would not start until at least the 2019-2020 season, because that's when the new TV deal would take into effect. So that's the earliest this could happen. But I mean, hey, Pep said it, so now I guess we need it. Even though we've, I think, been talking about this as long as it's been a podcast, and even before then. I mean, what do you think the chances are that this finally happens for the Premier League?
think if it's gotten to this point, I think it's a good chance. And I think it would be good. I know, especially the Continental managers, Klopp would be very happy.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Just for me, Klopp would be happy. I think Guardiola would be very happy with it. I would assume Mourinho would be very happy with it. Wenger would finally feel vindicated and could finally retire afterwards. Just kidding. He would like to have that break for at least 10 more years. I think it's a no-brainer. Everyone always assumed that any sort of a winter break would cut into that festive period.
Mm-hmm.
And they've sat and said, well, absolutely not. That's way too lucrative, and I understand that. And two, as much as I think it puts a strain on our favorite teams, man, who doesn't love the fact that nearly every day for 3 weeks you can turn on and watch Premier League matches?
That's true. It is pretty great.
I mean, it's awesome. It's not ideal maybe for everyone. Damn it, it's fun. And they don't want to lose that. And they're not. They wouldn't lose that. It would basically be like throwing an international break in there without the players having to go to international. You would most likely see a lot of these teams leave and go to Dubai, somewhere like that, a warm weather destination, maybe Ibiza, somewhere for a week where they could get out of the cold and the rain and go somewhere where it's 80 degrees and, watch the English players get sunburned and make fun of them constantly. But, I think it would be really good in the long run. Mm-hmm. Because it would give them. I think also it would increase the level that some of these teams are able to play. I mean, there's nothing worse than looking at the beginning of February and seeing just exhausted teams.
Oh yeah,
because you're not getting any real time. Give them a week, give them a nice extra week's break. I think it would improve the product going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, anything that could help keep the players healthier is something that you've got to look extremely strongly at.
Well, and we've seen January's. I mean, last year, for various reasons, January just took its toll in Liverpool, from injuries to match fixture congestion, just to everything that happened. Now, obviously, this would also coincide with, if it starts in the 2019-2020 season, it's also going to have to make sure it doesn't go too far out, because that'll be a Euro year. So that's going to be
and I mean, hey, even one thing, if you started a week earlier, I don't think that would be the end of the world.
No.
Got an extra August game. Now that would hurt Harry Kane's numbers.
True. And
because we know Harry don't score in August.
And it just means it's going to be much harder for us to actually get our Premier League recaps in on time.
Oh God. And also the transfer window. Whatever will happen with the transfer.
Oh God. I don't want to think about that right now.
But I do think in the long run, because you're doing something now truly for the health and safety of the players.
I agree. I do think this is going to go through. As you said, if it's gone this far, I think eventually it's going to get through pretty quick.
Yes. Now, yes, we will throw a fit about it because we have a fun. It's the end of the world. We done football this week. But if it's got Liverpool and Tottenham, able to say get a couple of guys back healthy and have the legs of some of their guys get a chance to rest, man, go for it. It's worth it.
Hey, especially once you start heading back into the Champions League. Ooh, that's going to be nuts. All right, so that's going to do it for news and notes. Wes, let's hit into the watch for. What are you watching in the week that was or the week that will be?
Shit. We had, this might be a couple weeks ago, we had the season, hopefully not series finale of The Brave.
Yes.
On NBC, but I hate to say it looks like it may be the series finale of The Brave. I will miss The Brave. It goes on. I thought it's been really good. Really, really gnarly show. I like the military dramas. I like the stuff that shows me some cool stuff, and I really liked it. The SEAL team, I'm pissed off. Not with the show itself, but the fact that it's off till March now for some damn reason.
Oh, brutal. Wait, what channel is it on?
To go up against the Olympics? Is that why?
What channel is it on?
CBS.
Oh, maybe. I mean, that could be it.
Not going up against it, I don't know, but it sucks, man, because I like that show, and it just came back from
Womp.
just came back from its winter break.
Yes. And
now it's back on another winter break.
An international break.
The international break. Hey, turn on the TV over the next few weeks. If you're into cold sports, you're going to have a paradise because the Winter Olympics are coming from not Pyongyang, but Pyeongchang, which is in South Korea.
Yes.
So if you're a person who likes sports, I personally am not at all. I may watch a bit of ice dancing. Never you mind about that, Avery.
A little Tara Lipinski and Johnny Weir doing it for you?
Oh, Johnny Weir is truly America's sweetheart.
He is. I love him to death.
Now, I am going to say this. If there's a Tanith Bell in the group this year, sir, my heart still skips a beat, and it's not from the blood pressure medicine. When I see the delectable Tanith Belbin. Anyway, I think she's Tanith White now, so fuck her for getting married.
Oh, sure.
That bitch. I'm kidding, Tanith. I love you.
And let's not forget.
She's over there with my beloved Dylan Dreyer.
The lady Rebecca Lowe.
And all the loves of our life over there. Lady Rebecca. The future Mrs. Bradshaw, Dylan Dreyer. I don't care if she's married and I'm married and she's happy and I'm not, whatever. Stop it now.
Good thing your wife doesn't listen to this podcast.
Or does she? No, absolutely she doesn't.
No.
God, no. I think my wife would rather eat a 9mm than us talk for an hour about soccer.
It's true.
Or listen to me talk 5 minutes about soccer. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, so hey, if that's what you're into, check out the Winter Olympiad on NBC.
Very nice. Well done.
It would be fun to see a Parks and Rec crossover, but unfortunately, it's over, Ed. For you, it's been over for a while. For me, it's been over for. So.
Yeah, it's been over for me for about a year or so, I guess. Of course, you mentioned Parks and Rec, and of course, Michael Schur created Parks and Rec. He also created another show, The Good Place, that had its season finale, season 2 last week. That was amazing. But that's not what I want to talk about, Wes. No,
Kristen Bell's so adorable.
Oh, love of my life. She's amazing. A light in the darkness. No, this week, we're going to talk about another Michael Schur show. By the way, Michael Schur, a.k.a. Ken Tremendous on Twitter, you have a standing invitation to this stupid podcast. I know you have your own stupid podcast that you constantly say is stupid.
Come talk soccer with us, dude.
Dude, we know you at least have a cursory knowledge of it when you talk about it with Brandon McCarthy and Liverpool. We know, so...
And you helped create Ron Swanson.
Yes.
He's a hero to me in life.
And you also created the show I actually want to talk about this week, briefly, on the Watch 4. It's Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, you finally did it.
4 episodes. I was like, I'm just going to watch the pilot tonight. Then I go to bed. And I'll just...
Wes is talking about it. He watched.
Yeah. It's like, I'm just going to give it a chance. Let's see how the pilot goes. I think I was 90 seconds in and I texted you. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. This is good. I'm in. And 4 episodes later, I finally went to bed. Really good cast already. Chelsea Peretti, fantastic. Andy Samberg, tolerable, almost likable. That's good. That's very good. He cleared a very low bar I had for him. I forget her character's name, but the dark-haired scary woman.
Oh God.
Yeah.
You can so see her. Stephanie Beatrice.
Yes, her
is the actress.
Yes. She's fantastic. She might be my favorite character on the show so far.
Oh, she's great. And as I told you, Ed, they get better as they grow.
Mm-hmm.
You will hopefully find yourself loving Scully and Hitchcock as much as I do. You have seen very little of them thus far. What they are truly capable of.
Just retire already.
Oh, sir. Just spoiler. They're still there.
Oh, that's great. I can already see them filling in the Jerry Gergich role. That's great. Also, I do love Terry Crews, his character, how he's this very strong, angry man but he's still building
Very
dollhouses and he wants to drive a minivan because SUVs roll, damn it. They roll. That's why we have a minivan. Oh,
and just the arc of Andre Brower.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh,
it's already so good.
Captain Raymond Holt.
You guys get a gay vibe from him? Nah.
This is my happy face.
This is the happiest I've ever been in my life.
Literally.
He
is the complete opposite of Chris.
I love when they gave him the painting and he's like, why am I not? Do you think of me as some dictator? Why am I not wearing full medals? Where is my steed? Why am I not riding him? I'm like, oh, God, this is amazing. Andre Brower, you're so good. You're so damn good.
He will take a step to the next level too.
Oh, that's fair. Cannot wait. So that's I'm all in now on the Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I'm ready to go.
And just to throw this in there, the character who played Dennis Feinstein will make a massive contribution down the road.
I've already recognized people like bid players from Parks and Rec. Like there was one lady who killed her husband with poison. He was like the big fat guy. I forget her name. Sue Salads from Parks and Rec. The same lady. I was like, this is good. Everything.
There's a little crossover there.
Just exists in the same universe. It's fantastic. But speaking of the universe, and as you mentioned, Parks and
Wanyama just hit his
Belta.
Oh, Jesus.
As you talked about finishing up Parks and Rec, and I said last week, I believe on this very podcast, that Johnny Karate was going to have a very special guest on his final show.
Oh, Jesus. By the way, my daughter literally sat with me and watched that episode as if she was watching something Johnny Karate. And is now mad at me because there are no more episodes of Johnny Karate for her to watch.
There's only one.
Baby, there's only one, and it was the last episode. Well, I would have watched the ones before that. I'm like, well, no.
It's a fake
they're
TV
there,
show.
But they're there, but they're not there. Johnny Karate has a big fan in Cali.
Oh, well, he also has a big fan in John Cena. So that is our segue this week as we get so raw.
Oh, man, let me think of so raw. Sunday, I was a bit under the weather. Monday, I took a turn for the worst.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I had this weird, earache thing going, and my equilibrium was a little off. So I was watching Monday Night Raw in somewhat of a foggy haze. But I was still able to catch Monday Night Raw. And doing much better now. Thank you very much. But Monday Night Raw, we began working again on the qualifiers for the Elimination Chamber. Roman Reigns able to beat The Miz. Was it The Miz? No, it wasn't The Miz. I can't remember who Reigns beat, but Reigns is in the Elimination Chamber. I think The Miz is actually in the Chamber as well. He beat Apollo Crews. I do remember that. End of the night. Oh God! They had a match to see who would be the final person to come out of their chamber pod at the Elimination Chamber. Between the guys who qualified in week one, it was Braun Strowman, it was Elias, and I believe it was Finn Balor. Mm-hmm. And Elias kind of shocking the world and winning that. So he will be the last guy to come out of the elimination. So he's got the advantage there. I'm really not trying to blow Raw off this week. It's just, oh man, I was in this weird place, and I was gonna catch up on some stuff today, and ended up getting called in. So I'm not totally ready for this week's So Raw, but we are hurtling toward the Raw. We're going to be having Fastlane for SmackDown coming up. So there are a couple of pay-per-views to come before WrestleMania, which are going to make some things clear. We're going to have our first ever women's elimination chamber match. And Alexa Bliss actually going to be defending her title in that elimination chamber match. Ooh. So unlike the men, the title will be on the line to see if Alexa can go on to WrestleMania as the champion. or however that storyline works out. One thing we have not seen, we haven't seen Ronda Rousey since the Royal Rumble. So, that's got to be coming sometime. Nobody really knows who's going to go up against yet. So, just something that's going to come. That's coming. We are ramping up for the whole WrestleMania deal. Excited about that. WrestleMania is going to be awesome. Still, the highlight of everything coming up is going to be Styles and Nakamura. Styles is going to defend his title at Fastlane. But I'm assuming Styles is going to keep it Fastlane because I don't think even WWE and assholeness that they do to people, that they do to us, I don't think they would tease us with Nakamura Styles and then take it away.
Yeah.
Not at WrestleMania. If it was a different pay-per-view, yeah, I could see them doing it. WrestleMania. Don't do this to us. So, I'm sorry, guys. It was a shitty So Raw this week. I promise I'll give you a next week.
That's fine. That's not
promise.
He keeps good on his promises. Don't worry, folks, for good old Wes Bradshaw. But that is then going to do it for episode 196 of the AFA podcast. We're just 4 away from 200. That's kind of insane. So please join us again next week. We will have a full recap of this week's Premier League action, including the North London Derby. Hopefully a Spurs win will start off this weekend, as well as, I believe, next weekend. Does next week start those Champions League matches?
Yeah, I know Liverpool plays on the 13th, so yeah, that's next week.
Let's quickly get you
13th and 14th. Since
I didn't actually mention this while we were doing it, let's actually get you the matches right now for next week. In Tuesday, you will have Basel versus Man City, as well as Juventus versus Tottenham. And that is a big match, obviously. And then on Wednesday, you'll have Real Madrid versus PSG, and then Porto versus Liverpool. The other ones will be the next week, which will be Bayern, Besiktas, Chelsea, Barca, Shakhtar, Roma, and Sevilla, Man United. Those are your round of 16 matches for the Champions League. But those are the big ones next week. So one more time, our podcast is presented by NGSC Sports and NGSCSports.com. We never stop, as well as RSports Baseball. You can find all of them on Twitter. You can also find us on Twitter as a collective at AFA Pod. Wes, you are?
At Wes Bradshaw 21.
I am at Edward Green. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube via our parent show, the All New Sports Show. Also, just last week, I realized I can start just directly uploading the podcast to YouTube. So if you want to listen to our podcast there for some reason, while you play it on YouTube, you can go to our youtube.com/the All New Sports Show to check out our podcast there. You can also email us allnewsportshow@gmail.com. So we'll be back next week. But before we get out of here for episode 196, Wes, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Ed, I want to say today or tomorrow may be the last day of no baseball for many, many months coming up. Pitchers and catchers are running as we speak. Mm-hmm. It's about time to kick off the 2018 Major League Baseball season. Folks, quick spoiler. This is the year the Sox are going to do it.
Yes, because we're eventually going to sign J.D. Martinez.
As I tell you every year.
And some years lately, you've been right.
Some years I've been right. I actually heard today, a nice Jackie Bradley Jr. Edwin Encarnacion. Well, which intrigued me because we do need that big stick.
A lot of big sticks after missing
out. I've already seen Encarnacion hit plenty of balls over the monster.
It's true. Now do it in a Red Sox uniform.
Exactly. Do it for us.
There you go. That'll do it for us out here on the Foreign Affair podcast. So until next week, guys, please stay safe and enjoy the football. Go Spurs.
Hey, good night, Liverpool. Sleep tight, guys. Everything is going to be all right.
And maybe one day, Harry Kane will catch up and be as good a striker as Mo Salah. One day.
Real Madrid's Harry Kane.
Still light years away. Maybe when he gets his second 100 goals in the Premier League.
Let's just see if Salah's going to catch him in 2 years.
No, Premier League goals. He can't get goals when he's at Real Madrid. He can't
Hundreds of these.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on NGSCsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop. Attention fantasy baseball fans. Come to the next level and experience virtual Major League Baseball ownership. RSports provides an advanced and authentic experience combining fantasy and virtual sport. By owning and operating an RSports franchise, you compete for championships and cash in leagues that mirror the MLB in every way. For sports fans who have dreamed of owning a sports franchise, log on to rsportsbaseball.com or find them on Facebook as RSports Baseball or on Twitter at RSports Baseball and make that dream a reality.